around all the time in your mind, but you're not free. I see you want to be grounded, grounded like me. He is the vine and we are the branches. Understand that this is all about authority. You can be free, you can overcome. You can overcome. Up in heaven, angels dance 'cause they're free. They sing for eternity.
I did not know you could even get this many people in this room. I know it's cold outside, but this is wild.
It is.
This is a lot of people. Season 15, episode 2. You're in the right place.
Amen.
And I want to welcome everybody that is on Facebook. Amazing that we are getting to go live with you. And so very excited about that. And we've got just a quick announcement, then we're going to go straight to a wonderful lineup because the theme tonight is do not quit. You cannot quit. You cannot quit. And so we're going to talk about that tonight. We're going to keep going. Defy the statistics that are out there. So
You guys enjoy the Facebook Lives on Mondays? The Lunch with Gwen? Okay. I think that's one of the most exciting things that's happened in a long while because we all took classes and Gwen would be teaching in the class and we would all think like, did she put a microphone in my house? Or like, how does she know what's going on in my life that this is to answer my, so intimately, into my life? Obviously it's the Spirit of God. But we've also had times where we're like, I wish I could ask Gwen a question right now, And so with the Monday afternoon at 12 o'clock, the Lunch with Gwen, and now with what we're doing here on Wednesdays for the You Can Overcome show, you have 2 opportunities during the week where you can send in your questions. And Gwen's like, send me your questions, please send me your questions. To me, that's a huge announcement, and that's the coolest thing in the world. So take advantage of it. If you guys have questions, you want to get in the promised land, you want a deeper relationship with God, you want the help, send the questions in. You have an opportunity to do that tonight.
Please, please, please. I love the questions and everyone else's too, because your questions are the same as anyone else's. Okay, so what's going on out there? Hashtag I quit. This week, they estimate that, a good, probably, 80% of the people have already quit on their New Year's resolution. And then by February 2nd, they estimate that literally everybody's given up. The difference here is we are definitely not giving up here. It is not about giving up. It is about changing your lifestyle, changing your heart, changing your relationship with God, over from a relationship with the world and a refrigerator over to a relationship with God. So we're going to talk tonight about why people quit. We've also had lineups that are the 100-pound lineups and that type of thing. Tonight, we specifically range between 25 to maybe 50 at the most. But I want to talk tonight a little bit more, as we did at Lunch with Gwen, about losing that last bit, because there's a real momentum there. It tells your heart. That last bit really tells your heart and like what's really in your heart. So we're excited. We don't want to delay it, and we're still excited about everybody watching. Y'all get your questions ready as we're going through this. We're going to start with a great little lineup. They'll give you their name, but let's all give them a warm welcome.
Hi, my name is Cindy Barker. I have lost 40 pounds through Weigh Down and kept it off for over 13 years. And that is also through gaining the weight and losing the weight back down through 3 pregnancies. Prior to Weigh Down, I had done every diet that is available out there. And so I just want to encourage anyone out there who is doing Weigh Down now that if you continue to listen to the truth, that even after my pregnancies, learning to go back down to a smaller portion size and things like that only happened because I persevered, stayed plugged in, listened to the truth, and put it into practice. So believe me, if I can do this, you can do this. Don't give up.
I'm Jennifer Quinn, and I've lost 35 pounds and had it off 14 years. And I've persevered through having children very small all the way up through adulthood on just taking my emotions to God through all the different seasons of life and eating in God's boundaries. And I'm smaller on the other side of 4 children than I was before we had children. And our marriage is sweeter, and I feel like we're enjoying life more because we've learned that God is everything. And so persevere. My husband always reminds me, whenever it's tough, it's worth the fight. So persevere, and you can do it.
And my name is Tom Quinn, and in 2003, I was first officially introduced to Way Down. My wife Jennifer started in 1999, but it was at that point that I realized that what Gwen has taught here from the beginning, that we can find God's Spirit in anything, and it really is something as basic as finding His Spirit with your next meal. And then that just translates to all kinds of other blessings and just finding His Spirit in everything. So finally quit smoking. As Jennifer shared, we have a beautiful marriage now. We know where the answers are. We know to go to Him for everything. So if we can do this, you can do it too. Do not quit.
Hi everyone, I'm Aaron Wheeler. I'm 21 years old, and I started gaining weight around the age of 11 and 12, and I knew something had to be done, and I honestly struggled with it, but I'm so thankful for this Way Down teaching and those that didn't give up on me and helped me along the way, because I started around 15 to lose weight, and I've lost 50 pounds and have been down since. So if I can do it, you can do it too.
This is a complete honor to be on this stage, and the only reason I'm here is because I never gave up. There's somebody out there right now who's thinking about firing themselves and taking themselves out of the race. Don't do it. You're in the right place. Keep going. You can do this. I found Way Down in 1996 when I first got pregnant with my daughter. Well, the only time I got pregnant with my daughter, Madeline. She's now 21. And we're still here, and we as a family are running after this because we stayed in classes, we come to church, we're here on Wednesdays, I'm up in the night on my knees. I got a way of escape today. I bit on a piece of tuna fish sandwich, and it had a piece of glass in it, and I'm like, good one, God. Gwen said she likes to be empty when she's up on stage, and guess what? I'm empty. Don't give up.
Quitting.
Yeah.
I mean, that just got me psyched up. So I'm not going to quit. Are you going to quit too?
I saw her pom-poms in the chair over there, though.
I love it. I love Jean Kurtz.
That's awesome.
I mean, she psychs us up. So, okay, we've got 2 sets tonight. 2 sets. We're going to start with the first set, and that struggled to kind of keep it going, but made it all the way. Please join Ted and I in welcoming Cindy Barker, who lost 30 pounds, and Rebecca Nesler, who lost 40.
You can be free, you can
Praise God. Okay, so who wants to go first tonight? So, okay, all right. You've already gotten warmed up here, Cindy, and gave us a little bit of the story. So,
do you want me to give my whole testimony, or what?
Absolutely. I mean, we're really focusing tonight. Okay, everybody out there, don't click off yet. We're focusing tonight on those times in your life where you are like, it's like I give up, I want to quit. I mean, you get back on the scales and you thought you lost, and the scales go up, or you can't you're trying on some clothes and they don't fit. You feel like tried everything and it's still, nothing seems to work, you can't get motivated to even get it going. All these quit things, this New Year resolutions, you get so psyched up, and then it's over by, so many people have already quit. It's all over Facebook, all these people giving up. So let's focus tonight on, everybody just jump in here. I want to focus on what is it that kept you going and what motivated you. So.
Yeah, well, I guess I would just start by saying that there's probably no one in here who hasn't had that lie. Just give up, you're not going to make it. I know I personally have, and especially when you feel like things aren't going well, or you put on a few pounds, or so my personal testimony is I joined Way Down in 2005, did my first Way Down class, and I was, young and single, and I lost all of my weight quickly. So I lost 40 pounds, and it was in maybe 2 months, something along those lines. I mean, it was pretty rapid.
So for new people, can Way Down be fast? Yes. The answer is yes. I would say of all the places, the difference would be fast, but it has a permanent way about it that the others don't have, but you've got to find what that secret is. So.
Right, and I would say that I did just follow hunger and fullness. So I didn't mix it with dieting. I didn't try to do anything else or exercise along with it. I simply did hunger and fullness. Exercise was actually a control for me prior to Way Down, and I was exercising 5 days a week and still had an extra 40 pounds on. So.
You can out-eat your exercise in 5 minutes. Like everything you
and
just...
I did that every day.
Yeah, you could
every
do
day.
it. You could do it. I did it. I was taking all the exercise class at UT Knoxville. They had classes. You could actually get college credit, get this, for going in and doing some exercises. I thought, wow, I'll take that class. And I made a C in it because I didn't... It's like one of the few C's. You look at my transcript, it's like a C. I thought it was kind of like one of those getaway classes that you could just add and get some hours, and it brought my average down. But I had a goal. They made you make a goal, and I didn't meet the goal. I was trying to exercise my weight off, and I didn't meet the goal.
It's so true. I never could lose. I never could budge 5 pounds on the diet, which was definitely God and grace from God just to keep me stuck. And so I lost my weight right away, and then kept it off for years and years. And I never really had a struggling period until after I had gone through my first pregnancy. That weight it took longer than it should have.
Okay.
So, it definitely, I had to get back in there and really focus and go through a period where I got refocused. And then after I had my second son is when it took me a couple years to get that weight all the way off. And I can testify because I've gone through 3 and I didn't struggle after my last one and that came off in between 6 and 9 months, somewhere there.
You got increasingly more in tune to that thing that helped
Right,
you.
which was a relationship with God.
Okay.
It was prayer.
Okay.
And I do feel like what held me back, in hindsight, looking back on it, that some of the things that caused me or exacerbated the struggle that I had was a wrong focus on the scale and focusing on keeping my eyes on a size I wanted to be, praise a man, all of the things that I had before, the reasons that I wanted to be thin. And instead of when I messed up, going back to God and saying, God, I messed up, help me to figure out exactly what I need to do different and getting ready to pass that test and connecting back to God. And so one of the main talks that helped me when I finally got all that weight back off was emotional eating, because it goes back through all of the different paths that you can take. It's from the original series, not changed, but the original
The original. Oh, wow.
And
Well, what
it-
did I say? I mean,
it
I
was-
have no idea.
It goes back through, and I would listen to it like every single day, but it goes back through the different paths that you can go on, and what to do with stress in your
What to
life.
do with
Like
stress.
and so basically, if you're,
Are you like selling pirate copies of that? It's not out there, right? It's like a secret
no,
tape.
no, honestly, I think I had a CD of it from the original. Like my parents had done way down back in the 90s, and they had
Can
a
you
CD of
access
it,
it
and I
anymore?
still.
Is it on All
I
Access?
don't know if you can.
See, that's what I'm saying.
If you can.
See,
I've tried.
Call Cindy Barker right now, 1-800-844-5208.
But
Is that
the
the right
information is in the tablet.
Okay.
And it talks about, it's basically
way
the
down works
paths
then.
of self-focus or the
Way down
paths of depression, but it talks about like the four
Oh, no,
different
yeah,
paths
no,
that you
no,
can take
no,
when
that's in
something
there. Yeah.
when something goes wrong or when you mess up. You can either get self-focused, you can get angry, you can project,
So, yes.
you can fix it all yourself.
That is a fundamental, essential chapter. I've kept it, maybe switched it up, the latest copy and Way Down Works. I remember even doing that. It is old material for sure, but it's talking about any direction you go is going to be a dead end. And you're going to wind up being bigger and heavier and more miserable in any situation that you're in. If you're not doing it right with marriage or with your job or with any of it, yeah. I mean, it's why they try drugs or people will try. What's interesting is people try everything but what they need to try. Mm-hmm. And it's a lie, it's a delusion, but they try everything but going to God. If you just only had that one tape, that original tape, every time you feel this urge to eat, but your body's not calling for it, go to God. Every time you feel this head hunger, mouth hunger, any reason to eat, but you're not hungry, it's definitely about going to God and this relationship with God. But what does that mean? So, but you got better with it as time went on.
Right, yeah, so I just started putting that into practice. I mean, and it's all fundamentals. Like you said, you can listen to the first tape and know that that's what you're supposed to do, but but I was getting focused on the scale, and I was getting focused on myself, and I was getting focused on problems and worries and, everything. I mean, it's busy life, and there's so many other things you can get focused on other than just going to God in prayer. And that was the main thing that it took, was just remembering that when you feel that worry or that anxiety or whatever it is, just from the struggles or the worries of life, and you go to God with that. You got to go to God with that. And so really it just came down to my prayer life, learning to pray over everything. And like even today, I mean, I was still putting this into practice every day. I've got 3 little ones now, and and so it's busy, and they're active, and I kept feeling like I was feeling kind of tired, but I was feeling like maybe I was hungry, or so even with that, I stopped and I just prayed, like, God, I feel like I'm hungry, but I'm not sure. Could you just make it clear?
Yeah.
Instead of just going and grabbing something.
Right.
Because I'm like, oh, I'm tired, I must be hungry, I'll just go
Right.
eat something. So it's just that focus of, no, I'm gonna wait and I'm gonna go to God and ask him to make it clear, and he does. It was like literally within a minute that my stomach growled and God made it clear. And so then I had peace.
Yeah.
Peace in the storm, which you've taught us.
Yeah, it's beautiful. Very beautiful. Beautiful testimony. Just give her a hand. Okay. Our darling Rebecca, thank you for joining us tonight. Okay.
So my story starts, I guess, like in 2002. My mother-in-law had found this message, or way down and thin, and lost 150 pounds. And I had met my husband then and turned away from Way Down, and then came back in 2006 to visit and hated it. And then came back in 2008 when we moved here and realized this is where I needed to be. Smoking was gone, all the antidepressants were gone, and then there was still greed. And it took a long time for me to figure out that the greed was still there and that I had put on 40 pounds when I came in here, and it was mind-blowing to me. I was always thin, always, and you think that thin people don't have a problem with weight. Well, you can't tell what's really going on the inside. And I was struggling. I was in pain, and I was not able to get it off. I went through multiple accountability partners. I took 1 million classes and still couldn't figure out what I was doing, where I couldn't lose this last little bit. And God recently just had me slow way down. He caused me to get really ill, and I was out of it for probably 2 weeks. And during that time, it was a lot of introspection. It was a lot of crying out to God. It was a lot of, what am I missing? And he kept showing me that my struggling was infiltrating my children. It was infiltrating my house, and that it was causing all this discord and pain that was going on. And I realized then that I couldn't allow any of that anymore. And so the last little bit of that was gone. Even through the holidays, I managed to keep the weight off. I managed to keep my focus to God, and I'm getting answered prayers all the time now. And that was something that I just really felt like I wasn't getting anymore at that last little bit. And God allowed the last little bit to come off, and my kids are starting to fall back in suit, and we're starting to see where God's blessing our home again and all of that. And something that really helped was whitewashed from ancient past. And that was something that I really had to listen to over and over again, because I really felt like that's what I was doing. I was the brick wall that was beautiful but kept covering it up with the white paint just to make people think that I was doing what I needed to be doing. And I'm just grateful. I'm grateful that I was able to hear that.
I'm grateful that you went from trying to please people to trying to please God.
Yes.
Because therein, once again, lies the answer.
Yes.
It just keeps boiling back down to it. Again, we try everything. We try everything. But taking that time, I don't know if people think it's a waste of time or what, but it's totally everything, isn't it?
For me, it was, I didn't want to admit that I needed God in everything. It was, I can still manage this. I know what to do. I have the tools, but was I using them? And it was this constant lie that I was listening to in my head is what kept me from crying out to God that I actually did need him. I did need him in everything, and now he's there.
You can liken it to different, I do a lot of marriage counseling, but people don't understand what a companion God's looking for. How intimate it is, and how much, he wants our attention and our dependency and our interaction. And so when you're trying to lose the weight, or you're trying to overcome any of the obstacles in your lives without him, then it's just not going to work. You wonder why it's not working. But you've got a relationship of where it's casual, or it's just one of those relationships where you're both there, but you're not really connecting, and you're both doing your own thing, or you're almost hiding out so that you don't have to connect, and you're growing apart year after year after year, and you're more into yourself, and you don't care as much, for that partner. And so there's all kind of dead marriages like that, and they grow apart as years go by, living separately, but they still are married, right? But they're not. And here's the thing, is that it is this relationship with God is something you have got to go after, and God wants it. There's nothing in my entire experience, in my entire life, all this time, I have never, ever lost sight of that, of how badly, and it's all over the scriptures, it's all over the relationships with anyone in the Bible that had a relationship with them, and then anybody that I ever knew that had relationships. I remember seeking those people out when I was young and looking for these people that had, because, I was in around religious people, but they thought I was, they would call me too excited about it, too excited about it, and they couldn't identify, so they had to put me in a category of just like, she's too excited, and she's just a simpleton, and so that was how they pegged me, but I would seek people out that had a relationship. And I can remember it would always be in maybe some of the most, I remember this lady that I was, teaching at the University of Memphis, and I would get there at a certain time. I mean, all instructors were getting there at different hours, whatever, in your own little room. And there was a lady that was, she was a janitor, and she basically just said, I saw the Bible on your desk. And she started talking to me about her relationship with God and how she had found, she was praying, and then she really had to have this money, and then she put on this old coat, and she put her hand down in it and found this $10 or whatever it was that she found. But, always just looking for, usually a very unsuspecting person maybe, but they would be there and want to talk about their relationship with God. And that really was the only thing that was interesting to me, was that pursuit, was talking to people who literally were coming in contact with the divine, interacting with, the immortal with mortals. It just was always a fascinating subject to me, and intriguing and rewarding. And so with that came this pursuit of seeing that, oh my word, I can ask and the Bible will flop up, or I can get up. When I'm awakened, I just never think of it as I woke up or something. Well, I know that it's God waking me up. So it just never really bothers me to wake up, because then I know it's my time to go to God. And then there'll be times I'll just go, God, can you put me back to sleep, And the other night, I was asking for dreams that would be super, super happy, which was kind of an unusual request. But, can you put me back to sleep now? Because I'd praying and talking to him, and then I asked him to, if he, could make my dreams, very happy dreams, instead of kind of feeling weird or empty or something. And I woke myself up. I fell back to sleep. He answered that. Then I woke up. I was belly laughing out loud, and it was just funny. I mean, what was going on was funny, and somebody was so making me laugh, and so and it woke me up, and God let it wake me up so that I can go in there to see, I am with you. This relationship is real. What you're doing is real. What you're, he's reinforcing to get you to come on. But when the prayers hit the ceiling, when you're going your own way, you're controlling everything and everybody, and you are doing what you want to do when you want to do it, how you want to do it, because you're into that self. The sermon from last Sabbath, that is real. That's the dead end street. You keep going, and it's all about you. I mean, you'll get to the point where someone touches you and you're hypersensitive, or someone is chewing potato chips and you're hypersensitive, or, you can't, it's mothers that can't nurse, or, they're just, it's all about them, or whatever. It's all this hypersensitivity to self will continue to grow until you really almost go mentally crazy. Focus on yourself. You want to go to a mental institution, then just keep focusing on your little old self, and it'll do it to you. So, but here you are, both of you, how beautiful, and found the key, which is a relationship with God. Now you're going out after it with thought. You wouldn't give it up for anything, would you?
Oh, absolutely not. No.
Never in a million years. The thought of going back out there scares the pants off of me.
There
I won't do it. And I even heard the lie. You're just not getting it. You need to leave. Somebody else needs your seat. Somebody else needs this more than you do.
Oh, that's a big lie.
It's a big lie, but it's a painful lie.
It hurts.
It hurts.
It's part of that depression type feeling, heavy heart. So, but it's beautiful. And Ted, I know that you love God with all your heart. You get up every day and go back after it every day.
Yeah, it's definitely a life. Like you said before, it's a lifestyle. We want to do this for the rest of your life. And I remember when Candace first introduced me to the class, when I first was listening to it, I was like, oh, it's a weight loss thing. And so I listened to it and I started hearing hunger and fullness. And I remember losing 10 pounds and throwing back 15 on like about a month later because it was not about God. It was like I was thinking about the weight loss. And I remember how she posed it to me. She said, you know, I know you want to put God first in everything. You can do this with this food. And I'd never heard that before, ever, anywhere. But then when you get into the class, you realize that it is solely about a relationship with God. And if you're just doing it to lose weight, it's just not going to work. But if you're doing it because I want to get closer to God, and I will say one other thing real quick, just for anybody that's like doing it and still struggling, I feel like what helped me tremendously was that, you know, you've always said, if you were given a cancer diagnosis and the doctor said, this is what I want you to do. I want you to do these 3 things every day. You wouldn't miss that with a gun to your head. You wouldn't miss those 3 things. You would, because you want to live. You want to live. And if you want to change your life, you put the class together so you had this reinforcement and you had this backup information that went back in there and said, look, this is how you put God first, or this is how you run to him in your testing time and when it's hard or when this happens. And there was this incredible workbook that came with the class. And I remember us digging into that together and answering questions almost every night. I didn't finish the whole book. The book is so full. I mean, it'd take you a while to get them all. But I remember doing almost all of it, you know, with her and answering those questions. And then when we'd get together, we'd want to, like, what did you say on that? And like kind of sharing. But it literally kept the focus up the entire time. And it helped pass all the tests. And that's where you felt like the total transfer happening, where all of a sudden it wasn't a big of a test, you know. It was easier to go, I don't want that. I want what I felt last night. I want what I felt this morning. I want just that connection with God. So I will say, sometimes people wonder why they're not doing everything that the doctor ordered. You know what I mean? They're doing part of it, but they're not like, let me really dig in. If you really dig in, and let's see where you are in about 6 weeks, I think you'll be blown away at the changes. So I'm grateful. I'm so grateful for this place.
That's perfect. Beautiful. Okay, this is our first group. We're going to go now to our second group. And so please, let's clap for them, but also a warm clap for Michelle Wright and Shelhamer. So thank you guys. So have a seat, dear girls. Have a seat. Okay. So we also have some questions coming along and through, and Ted's going to screen that. And
yeah. So a question came in from Nancy Manis, and she said, "I've heard older people say they need vitamins as we age because the body is not able to work efficiently. True or false?"
Okay. Look, if you take chemistry and you understand what a vitamin is, it's a catalyst to run a chemical reaction. Basically, when you have a chemical reaction, the catalyst will help it it makes it easier for it. It doesn't have to have all that energy. It helps eliminate some of the difficulty of the reaction. And your body it's chemicals. I mean, it's carbons, it's hydrogens, it's oxygen, it's nitrogen, it's chemicals. And you're eating chemicals. And organic means it contains carbon. So everything you eat is organic. I mean, if you meant organic means it has a different kind of a way they kill the bugs on it or whatever. I mean, all that. I mean, there's so many definitions and they're not defined. So you can use that word, but it doesn't have a definition by like a government. So you can, but all these vitamins are found down in the food. And then you say, oh, well, the food's no good. You know, all right. I mean, they refined, the Jewish people, even way back then, took the flour and they got the entire hull off of it. And the finest of flour was what was given to God, all that. I mean, I don't want to get too much into all the chemistry of that tonight because we're about not quitting. But I can tell you right now that the nutrients are in there, they're in there. I mean, they didn't even isolate them until about the 1950s. How did all those people before 1950 live? And I don't know. They didn't take a pill. I mean, how did they live? And don't tell me that. I mean, we had grandparents. I've got people that parents lived over 100 years old. And they didn't ever take a vitamin. And you say, oh, well, the food was better. No, I mean, you know, it's more fortified now. Niacin, thiamine, riboflavin, iron, all that's put into our breads. And then you've got vitamin A and D put down into the milk. And then you've got so much more fortification going on. And so, and then people are overeating. And what we're doing is we're killing ourselves with too much. You will know that I'm right by reducing it, come on back off of things, and then all of a sudden you're going to have more energy. So, but Nancy, thank you for that question. I love you. And if you want, I mean, is it going to kill you to take a one-a-day vitamin? Hey, it's not going to do you any good unless you take it with the meal. I mean, it's there to help with the chemical reactions of the food that you just ate. So you're kind of like wasting your time unless you're eating it in conjunction with the meal. And then if you're talking about, you know, swallowing some minerals like calcium or whatever, you know, that type of thing, then go right ahead. I mean, they all smell so crazy. And a lot of times I just think, oh goodness, I'm taking calcium, I'm swallowing ground up bones from a horse's leg or something. It's like, I don't know, sometimes it just grosses me out. I don't know exactly where they're getting this stuff, and they don't tell me, you know, where they ground that calcium from, and I don't know whose bones I'm swallowing. And so, I don't know, I just kind of get grossed out a little bit, but anyway, you know, do what you want to do. I don't know of anybody dying from like a one-a-day either, so whatever. I don't know. How do you want me to answer that?
I'm out. I'm out. No horse bones for me. I'm out.
Okay, so we were talking about relationships, and we were talking about relationships with God, and Ted was just explaining, you know, how he lost the weight, but then he put it back on because he had not gotten that key that it was, you know, about, you know, relationship with God. And so I talked to y'all right before the show, and both of y'all got into a class and lost all your weight, right? Michelle, you lost
50 pounds.
50 pounds, and Nicole, you lost?
I lost 25 pounds plus 20 pounds of pregnancy weight, all within 13 months.
All within 13 months?
Of having my son, yes.
I mean, and so just tell us about that. I mean, y'all clicked on, listened to the same tapes anybody else, went through the same stuff, like, but you picked up on quickly what it was about.
All I can say is I heard hunger and fullness, and I applied it very quickly, and I remember going to the candy dish that was on the countertop and grabbing a handful of M&Ms and looking at this handful of M&Ms and going, I'm not hungry. And so I put them down and I walked away.
Why? We're picking your brain.
I looked at those M&Ms and I said, I want God more.
There you go.
And if this is going to separate me from God, then I don't want those M&Ms.
I mean, somebody's going to say that sounds legalistic, but it goes back to week 3 of your Way Down Basics. Can God do better than Rocky Road ice cream? So when you're wanting food, but your body's not calling for it, and he says, if you destroy this body, I'm going to destroy you. That's a motivating factor. And you know that too much is the number one thing that gives you either cancer, heart disease, or diabetes. Those are your 3 killers. It's overeating is the number one reason why people have those conditions. There are genetic conditions, there's inborn error of metabolisms, there are reasons why some people have hereditary of something where they've been passed down to, for their liver basically is not working very well. And so it's either your liver's what makes the cholesterol and your liver's like making too much. I mean, no matter what you eat, you can change your diet all you want, but your liver, and that those people sometimes have heart attacks at 40 or whatever. But here's the thing. Okay, so you figured that out, and then Michelle, you said something similar. Tell us your story here.
Well, I feel like when I came to Way Down, I realized it was the truth. I knew for sure, and that I wanted to live it so that others could see it in me. And then when I found that relationship with God, I was scared to death to ever lose it. And then I had so many situations come into my life that I got to practice running to God, pain, running to God, pain, running to God. And I found him, like he'd give me the scripture that was exactly, when you see a mother of 7 will breathe her last. I'm a mother of 7. That kind of sticks with you. It's like, okay,
wow.
Fear is
I forget that.
real.
You're a mother of 7.
Yes.
Okay, this is a mother of 7, and she looks like a teenager. It's so adorable. It is God. Why not losing that weight? It's the I don't know. They're looking for a bottle of what makes you look young. Losing your weight is one of the major keys. But anyway, so you lost your 50 pounds, but you're mentioning something that has not been brought up tonight, and that is that fear that I'm going to lose it, or that beautiful holy fear of God. Even it says Jesus had a holy fear of God. Jesus had a holy fear, but obviously, not my will, but yours be done. And that's what you're saying with the M&Ms.
Yes, ma'am.
If that's how Jesus maintained his relationship with God, not my will, but yours be done, then we've got to imitate that. Not my will, yours be done.
And I definitely had an example to imitate. And in the classes, but also nearby where we live. We used to live in Minnesota, very small town of 3,000 people. And so Kristen Price is the one that introduced it to me, and she lived it faithfully, and she was the one that I could watch and imitate. And then as I lost my weight, by following hunger and fullness, I was tempted with the food rule. So that question that Nancy suggested about vitamins, I was definitely heading that way toward vitamins and food rules. And so hearing hunger and fullness, it did click, but it had to go deeper than just a food rule. I had to take it to heart, and I had to make it about a relationship with God. So seeing those M&Ms for me was going, I'm not hungry, and I don't want to lose this relationship with God or this opportunity that I've been given to show God that I want him more. And you talk about ways of escape, and I remember first hearing about that, and my time was nap time when the children were in bed, and so I grabbed my Oreo cup, so it has to be short so you can dunk those Oreos into the milk, and I grabbed the biggest stack of Oreos that I could, and I dropped them on the floor. And
what stopped you from eating?
Yes.
I'm just kidding.
Yes. Well, it was my floor. I knew when it had been mopped, and I knew what had been. I knew when it had been mopped. I knew it was on the floor, and I knew that it was clean enough, in my opinion, to eat off of in the past. But for the first time, I knew it was God telling me no.
I know. Don't you love it?
Yes.
The communication of the heavens with you. There's people that actually get mad when they get a way of escape, like they get intervention, or they get mad if they're awakened in the night, or they get mad, and I'm sitting there going, I love it. I love it, because it's like, oh, the heavens are wanting to talk to me. The heavens are wanting my attention. I can't believe God would ever even, who am I that God would want my attention? Who am I that God would provide a way of escape? Of course, that's scriptural. I mean, it's scriptural. It says that there's no temptation that's happened to man that's, not common. All the temptations are all common. There's not going to be one temptation that happens to you that has not happened to everyone. And then, on top of that, he says, and with it, he will provide a way of escape. He'll provide a way of escape for us. And so that's where I got that. But also praying. We said very early on in the show, prayer is that sign that if you're not praying and your prayers are hitting the ceiling, or if you start back in the praying, then you're on the right path. I can guarantee you that you're going to be back into the routine of obeying God rather than yourself. That's that key of praying to God for it. And then you kept it off. Michelle, you kept yours off?
Yeah, well, I lost the weight initially, and then I got pregnant for Carrie right away. So, and I lost all my pregnancy weight by my 6-week visit.
Wow.
The midwife just spun her head, you know.
How many children did you have after?
2 in way down. 2.
2?
Yeah. So
And lost your weight?
Lost the weight. But what God showed me was that what really shook me up was when I would look in my heart and see there's still a love for food there. There's still a greed. Yes, I stopped the deliberate disobedience with eating before I was feeling hungry, or, you know, deliberately eating for emotional or binging. But there was, I, you know, would still stumble and I'd go, whoa, what is that? What is that? And what I saw was not only God watching me in the kitchen, but God looking down in my heart. That scared me, that there might be greed in there, or, you know, so it just kept me going. Okay, I'm, you know, getting up today, I'm gonna do better, or get up the next day and do better. And so you look back and go, oh, wow, you know, I did better this year, and I'm more free this year, and I don't even care about that anymore, you know, so it's
You think
just
you're
courage.
eating all the time, or you think you're eating too much, and then you go, I can't believe my body's still like, aren't I binging out or doing too much in your body? It's amazing, because what you were greedy for, or what you, I don't know, it's a transforming of the mind, because you still think you're eating this large volume, but it has shrunk. And so that's where you want to go to permanency. That's the difference. All you people out there that are dieting, and we'll take some questions now. Ted, you got some questions? I mean, bottom line, all you people dieting, if you want to keep dieting, count on really good setup for weight gain. You're gonna gain your weight back, because dieting keeps you focused on yourself, dead end street, self-focus, and on it lets you eat large volumes of low-calorie foods. You have free foods and points, and you count calories, you can do all this, but you're not focusing on what these successful people were focusing on, and theirs was a prayer life and doing exactly what God wanted to do. So
We do. Brianna, Washington State. Why does Satan work so hard on trying to get me to run back to the low-carb diet? I feel like he's always trying to get me to quit. By the way, all the low-carb diet did was make me gain weight and hate eggs. The keto diet is all the rage and works for some people. It's so frustrating, because I always want to run back to the diet that didn't even work for me. Am I crazy?
I know, Brianne. Oh, my word. And it is out there. I have never seen anything permeate this country like low carbohydrate. And it's got about 15 different names. I mean, it's been named everything on the planet. If somebody can look up a few of those names and shoot those over, because they're the low carbohydrate, high fat. Mm-hmm. What they're asking you to do is, see, carbohydrates are what the body lives off of, and most of the world, 80% of their diet is carbohydrate. It's bread, cereals, rice, everything is a carbohydrate, all that wonderful, wonderful stuff. Okay, so all foods are wonderful, but that's 90% of what the world's eating. America, though, is into a lot of meats and fats. Okay, with it, when you eat the low carb, it puts you into ketosis, and that means that you're in a diabetic state. So you're actually creating a diabetic state for your body, and you're spilling literal calories off through your kidneys. And I will tell you, these people get very sick and very ill, very difficult to do, because you're going against what the body wants, and the body is asking you not to do it. And then you're dreaming of all the carbs that you'd like to eat. But there was Atkins, there's the protein,
I know paleo.
Keto,
Paleo diet is.
the paleo diet, all these different diets that are out there that are low carbohydrate, high protein. Eat all the fats. What'd she say she got sick of?
Eggs.
Oh. I mean, you get to the point where you're about to vomit, because it's, all this high fat protein, and it will put you into it. It's really harmful for the body. Why do you run back to a diet? It lets you eat all you want to eat, so you're focused on yourself and all you want to eat, so you can chew all you want. And that's the opposite of of this, we actually close the old mouth down. And so you're closing up this little trap here for a while. And it doesn't, you can talk, you can pray, you can, use your mouth to encourage others, but you cannot eat until you're hungry. And maybe if you're thirsty or whatever, drink some, but you're drinking when you're thirsty, eating when you're hungry. But bottom line, like even people that are overeaters, they have a hard time at some point even sleeping through the night. They've got to get up in the middle of the night and eat and all that. And that's how you become super obese, is you're eating 24 hours a day. Okay, so we've got any other questions?
We do, yeah. Darlene Eddy up in New York, she's asking how to be okay with eating at a time when I'm hungry, seriously growling for like 2 hours and traveling, and need to stop, but my boyfriend isn't hungry. How to not feel guilty or almost selfish to have to take care of my needs.
Well, if you are overweight and you bypass hunger, it'll go away like very quickly if you're overweight. And if you even get something to drink, or sometimes one cracker, it'll go away. And then you can then let it come back around when your boyfriend wants to eat. Hey, companionships and all that kind of stuff, it's about giving. And so just use that you're not traveling every day. And so that's not really a big time problem. But take a cracker with you, but you don't even have to eat, because your body will pick up the extra food that you had for lunch, supper, all those other meals that you overate, take it off the hips, ship it into the bloodstream, and then it feeds your body from your stored energy. You have your own indoor refrigerator, freezer on your body, and it'll just come right out, and you have like a little meal that way. Don't even have to, it's like intravenous feeding. You don't even have to eat. It's very convenient, and use your body fat, and you lose weight at the same time. It's awesome. The question of why do people at this time of year go to dieting? They want quick, but weigh down's quick. They want, maybe it's the known versus the unknown. People, I wonder, and Ted, maybe you could comment on this, but why is it that people try everything but this prayer life and this with God? Because when you go with God, you don't know when the hunger's going to come, so you have to give up control. You don't know when the full is, so you have to give up control. You don't know when you're going to get hungry again, so you've got to give up control and give it to God. You don't know when you're going to be tempted, and when you're tempted, you've got to go to God. The whole thing is you go to God, and then 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 you go to God. Through Jesus Christ, you're going to God all day long until it is your life. It is your breath. It is going to God. Jesus said, I've got a food that you don't even know about. It's like this food fills you up and doesn't rob you. Overeating robs you of a wardrobe. You can't find anything to wear. It robs you of relationships, because I'm telling you, there are people that, you literally have ruined your body for your spouse, and that's just not right. And then it robs you of your self-esteem. It robs you of your finances. It's expensive food is expensive to overeat. And
ton of energy, gosh.
Yeah.
Energy.
It robs you of your energy, thank you. It robs you of, spiritually, of relationship with God. But when you go back and do it God's way, you get your energy back. All of a sudden, clothes show up. People give you clothes, or clothes all of a sudden fit. You get your looks back. You get like I maybe I've already said the physical, but the energy. But your health back. I didn't mention that. It robs you of your health. You get your health back. You get your relationship. It builds. You feel better about yourself. You have more energy to give. And so you can give and give and give. And that, talk about having more friends and more, a better marriage and better relationship with your children. People can't even get up and go play with their children because they're so in love with the food or the refrigerator and into themselves. Hey, look, I just, thank y'all for coming on tonight. Thank everybody tonight. But I want to end tonight on this thought, is that there is nothing better on the planet than a relationship ongoing all day long with God. There's nothing out there, there's nothing that can compare, nothing that gives greater dividends, nothing that gives back more, nothing that's like, there's nothing like winking up at God because you know that you just got that prayer answered and that, that's what you need. And, human relationships are like amazing and should mimic this relationship with God. But nothing replaces this relationship with God because God is all-knowing, all-powerful, richer, more coordinated. He listens more. He's on call 24/7. So the Way Down never was about losing weight. I mean, you know that, right? After the first orientation video, it's never been about losing weight. It's all about, it's a good trick, to teach you how to fall in love with God. And so that's what it's about. So what was the secret tonight? It was the relationship with God. The secret of all the people up here, how are you not gonna quit? Well, who's gonna quit working on a relationship with God? I mean, that doesn't make any sense. And so we don't quit that. We go after it. We don't want to lose it. It's like saying, here's $5 billion. You want to give it away? I don't think so. I mean, you want it. You want it. And there's nothing that would, you couldn't put me in a jail. That wouldn't stop it. You couldn't take everything away from me. That wouldn't stop it. You could saw me in two and I wouldn't give it up. And so that's how much. Jesus went and died to show you that he is not giving it up for anything. He said, not my will, but yours be done. In other words, I want a relationship with God more than anything. So all you guys out there, can you go after it? Can you do it? Can you overcome? Yes, you can, and God bless you. God bless you, everyone. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next week.
Angels dance 'cause they're free. Have you seen from eternity? With thy God and the Son, Jesus. Everything is peaceful and lightness. Happy always doing his will. Happy always doing his will. Overcome. Angels dance 'cause they're free. Happy sing for eternity with our God and his Son.